So hello everyone, my name's Charlotte and I work for an organisation called Lookout, and we work to connect artists from a range of different creative industries and connecting them with young people. And we're working in partnership with GB Met to deliver these virtual industry talks. So hello, thanks for joining. Fern is our guest speaker today. Hello Fern.
Hi guys.
And as I said, Zoe is going to be asking questions, but please do pop any questions you have in the chat and I'll filter them through to Zoe, or Zoe will just pick them up. And yeah, we're just going to have a chat and find out about Fern and her career, and she's going to share some top tips with you as well, I hope. So Zoe, I'll hand over to you.
Great, thank you so much, Charlotte. Hi, I'm Zoe. I am the GB Met ambassador. I'm very excited to be interviewing Fern here today because just reading that little bit of blurb, you've done some very exciting things. So could you please tell us a bit more about your job and how would you describe yourself and what you do?
Thank you, Zoe. Really exciting to be here and to inspire you all and tell you a little bit more about what a milliner does. So the word millinery comes from the 1500s, and it was a name given to people from Milan who came over and traded very beautiful headwear and lacewear and gloves. And that's when they got the term a milliner or milliner. So that's where milliner comes from, or millinery. So I absolutely adore making hats, and I was originally trained in costume construction, so mainly historical costume, but I very quickly discovered that I didn't particularly like doing costume, and that I preferred making things for the head. Yes. So that's sort of a little bit about what a milliner is and why I sort of picked what I wanted to do through not wanting to do something else.
Wonderful. And so how did you end up doing it in the first place?
So we had this fantastic guy called Fern Berreen. You must look him up, he's incredible. And he is a milliner and he was a visiting tutor at Wimbledon UAL, University of the Arts London. And he did all the hats for Titanic, and he did all the hats for Elizabeth I. Also the very famous, beautiful top hat that Johnny Depp wears in Alice in Wonderland. And he's this tiny, beautiful gay queen, and he's just incredible and stunning. And I used to follow him around the studio like a lost puppy and hang on every single word he said. And he was quite happy to always explain what he was doing, and he'd come in, and I think we had like 3 lessons from him. And from that day on, so I must have been 19, I was hooked. And I just finished my art foundation in theatre and costume. So that's why I went to Wimbledon, because they did that. And then I went into costume construction. So yeah. And then I just decided I love millinery and wanted to make things for the head. But also millinery is accessories too. So it will be sort of bags, neck pieces, head jewelry, anything weird and wonderful a milliner can do.
So talking of which, have you got any examples of your work that you can share with us and let us know what it is that you're currently working on?
Yes. So I utterly adore the drag and burlesque scene. They're my people, they're my soul creatures. And they're just wonderful because they just want something very different all the time, which is a wonderful challenge. So this lady here is called Eliza Delight, and she's from Yorkshire. And she is a full-time burlesque dancer. So I did all of the metal work for this. So I did the headpiece, So I did all the metal framing work. I did the wrist pieces, and I also did the back piece. So also what's another interesting thing is, remember, if someone's performing, they don't necessarily want to wear it all the time. So they might take it off during the performance, but piece by piece, like in burlesque. So the back piece actually can slot out of the back, and it folds in half so she can carry it on the tube. And then the wrist pieces, they're elasticated and again can be flat packed. And the headpiece also flat packs against all the other bits. But it's all very lightweight, made from aluminium. So not only do milliners do things with fabric and felt, we also do metal work. Yes, so then there's the next picture here. So that's Eliza Delight, which is almost at the end of the performance. So you can see she's taken off her wrist pieces and her back piece, but she's got her hair piece in. She's also wearing a wig. So that's another thing that you have to think about, is making things a little bit bigger so that they can fit over the wig, and also have enough loops in it to make sure that it stays in the hair. And if we move on to the next one. So this is Hayley Steele. She is utterly gorgeous. She's like a major power play in the burlesque field. So she is a fire eater and a specialist in pyro. So I made this little top hat for her. So a lot of the time, as a milliner, you will make part and part of something. So I just made the top hat for her, and then she decorated or bejeweled. So a bit like Eliza Delight with the stars, I did all the metalwork and she did all the stars and the accessories on it. So again, for this sort of thing, you would have to maybe be careful with the materials you use so that they don't melt or they don't catch on fire. So you can actually get fire retardant spray. So there's all these sorts of things that you have to think about. And then moving on to the next one. This is Missy Fatal. In fact, she was my way into millinery in a way for that scene. So she taught me how to do burlesque, and I very quickly realized that I prefer being backstage rather than in front of the camera, also bearing my nips out. So I very quickly realized I didn't particularly want to do that, but I wanted to be around people that do this kind of thing. So I did all the metal work for this and the gemming, and also I did all of the feather bowing. So this is all ostrich feather, and it's all like hand done and then hand attached, but she is incredible. So this is for a giant martini glass act. So again, halfway through, she takes this headdress off. And then the next image is also Missy Fatal. And then this is actually the headdress that I was wearing right at the beginning of the little video thing we're doing today. And it's all dried wings and sort of taxidermy. And again, she does this for a snake dance. So she has real snakes that she dances and performs with. And then moving on, so these were more fashion pieces. So this is actually on her top lip, a belt from Primark. And then on top of the head is something that I found in a market, which was a necklace. So it's amazing what you can do when you just piece together random things and create new things. So again, this is more jewelry for the head, and this is the same shoot. So again, a lot of sort of taxidermy and dried wings and things like that, and then repurposing them. And then the next one, this is sort of more of a Halloween shoot, but again, sort of for fashion and Halloween coming up as well, which is good. And then, yeah, that's great. And then just the same. This one was actually, I think in 2017. So this was like my first fashion shoot I ever did. And so the one on the left with all the flowers, that was actually loads of vintage flowers that I had found, and for a £5, and then I stuck them all together and sprayed them. And then the one on the right was just some spraying up of some overhead projector film. And then again, it's sort of whatever you find you can put on the head, really. It's really fun and exciting, so sort of very soft. And then this next one, I was looking at acrylics and melting of acrylics, which is really fun, but a major challenge when it comes to attaching onto the head. But yeah, millinery, it's wonderful because you can just work with lots of different materials and try lots of different things. And yeah, so that's sort of very fashion. And then this is Serafina Hart, and this actually, so she's another burlesque performer, and the ostrich feathers on the top, they can be pulled out of the head and used as a conceal and then a reveal halfway through her performance. So again, a headdress is always a prop at the same time as a headdress. And then this next one is actually a recreation of a V&A hat, which was originally made for a strip club in London in the 1960s called Eve Strip Club, or Gentleman's Club. And yeah, there was this beautiful costume designer there called Ronald, and he designed all of these fabulous headdresses, and another burlesque dancer wanted me to recreate it for her. So you'll get that a lot, that you'll have pictures that people have given you. It's like, oh, remake this, but do it slightly differently. And she keeps this on throughout the whole performance. And then this one is more of a historical hat. So this is called a Haneen hat or headdress, and it was for Hampton Court. So Hampton Court, they have a reenactment department that for all of the palaces in London. So there'll be some for South Kensington Palace, but it's all reenactment stuff, and they have to do things as historically accurate as possible. So this is sort of more back to basics, pattern cutting, and sort of very much historical costume making. Yeah, so I think that's the end of those pictures. Yes.
What would you say was like the most challenging out of those to make, or is it not even a picture of it? Have you got any epic fails?
Yeah. Do you know what? The moon headdress was very different and difficult. I think when someone says to you, how long does something take to make? It's almost impossible to know when every single thing you make is so different. It's really hard, but you know, a headdress can take up to 45 hours upwards, so it's a lot, really. And also, but it depends what kind of milliner you want to be, whether you want to be a fashion milliner where you just do trilbies or bowler hats, or very sort of back to basics traditional millinery, or if you want to do really sparkly, exciting, weird and wonderful stuff. So yeah, and a lot of the time I get asked to make like props. So for the giant martini glass headdress, I made a giant olive that was a sponge, because she wanted to have it in with her and then pick it up and squidge it, and then all the water with the glitter goes over her body, and she's very cool. But yeah, it's so being a milliner is very much props and accessories.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing all of that. I loved it. What influenced you in your childhood or as a young person that impacted upon your choices?
I was most probably a very lucky lady, and my mum was very much into costume. So she had run her own costume business in the 80s, where people would hire costumes from her for parties. And then my dad, he was a lighting designer for theatre, so he was the more tech side. And my dad always said to me, never work in theatre, because he was like, you'll never earn enough money, you'll work crazy hours. But I think the most important thing is just seeing your parents love what they do. And I think that's what influences you more, is seeing people love what they do, and it's infectious. That's what clings to you, rather than how much money am I making, because it matters, but it doesn't matter, because as long as you're fulfilled, it will happen for you, because you'll make it happen for yourself. Very much so, yeah.
Fabulous, thank you. I'm just going to hand over to Charlotte, who's going to ask you a couple of questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Can you just tell us a bit about your pathway into your job, and kind of how you sort of, I know you said, you know, that you were influenced kind of by your mum and dad, but what about your kind of educational pathway into it? How did you sort of make those decisions from college to uni and so on?
Yeah, that's really good, and it's a difficult question, especially when you're so young and you're having to make choices that potentially will influence the rest of your life. At such a young age as well, but it's good. It's so for my GCSEs I did like fine art and drama and anything creative, so for A level I particularly picked out a sixth form that meant I could do all of the arts. So I did fine art textiles, which was all about structural and sculptural textiles. I did fine art 3D studies, which was pottery, ceramics, plastering, glazing, and metalwork. And then I did fine art, which I utterly hated, because I realized very quickly that I prefer 3D art. And so for my final piece for fine art, I was like, I want to do the massive backdrop for the school musical for Sweeney Todd, and I painted the massive backdrop by myself on scaffolding every weekend and every evening, and I did that. So I very quickly realized I wanted to do theatre, and I wanted to do 3D art of some kind where my hands were getting dirty. That's what I wanted to do. So then from that I went to go and have a look at Central St Martin's. I went to go because I wanted to go to UAL, which was University of the Arts London, because my mum was like, Fern, you need to go. But it actually doesn't matter where you go, it's what you're learning whilst you're there. So I went to Central St Martin's to go and have a look around, and I hated the people because they were very competitive, very fashion, and they just weren't warm and inviting. And I went there with an intention to look at set painting and construction for theatre and film, and basically doing carpentry and all of the little mini maquettes and stuff like that. And I got there and I realized I didn't want to do it. So top tip, go and view the university. Don't make rash decisions if you want to do that. Or if you're doing courses, go and feel where you're going, because it's all about the people and the tutors and whether you gel with them and whether they're weird enough for you, because some people aren't weird and creative and interesting. So then I went to Wimbledon, and Wimbledon is this tiny little art college that's now a university, and they specialised in theatre as an art foundation. So I went and did an art foundation for about a year and a half, just over a year and a half, and we did pottery and all the tasters and fashion and theatre costume. And then I very quickly realised that I do want to do something to do with costume. And then from there, I then went into Wimbledon to go and do my BA honours in costume construction for film and theatre. But it didn't have any design aspect at all, because I don't particularly like drawing. So it was just pure making and construction. So I think, that answers your question.
How did you go from sort of the educational side of things to getting your first job? Like what was that?
I'm not going to lie, it's really, really difficult. Really difficult. I actually haven't told Charlotte yet, I've just done Game of Thrones and Captain Marvel, the film, but I'm 32 years old. I've got supportive parents who aren't particularly rich. I left university utterly broke, and I still have student loan of 35 grand. And I've only just broken into film. This is the reality. But what got me my film was having somebody, my husband, who supports me and pushes me all the time. And also what got me in was Facebook. And Facebook, this is the way to go now. Don't bother sending just, it is who you know, but Facebook and Instagram are the key to the industry that I'm in. So Instagram is basically your portfolio. Number one, you need to have an Instagram account and start posting your work, because it's what people, it shows what you do. And I do it every single day without fail. I treat it like a business. Facebook, join, there's particular groups that you need to join, like the Costume Guild, and it's like hundreds of thousands of people that do costume, who make shoes, hats, costume, armory, prosthetics, animal costumes, people that do props, carpentry, and they literally posted a post on Facebook. We are looking for a new costume team for a big major film, and these things come up every single day. And basically I made a plan that I would sit on my phone all day and message all of these people and say, do you need a milliner? Even if they were asking for props, even if they were asking for just costume, doesn't matter. And if they ever put their email address up, which they do all the time, just email them and keep emailing. And also on Instagram, find out who your costume designers are. Go on IMDb, find your favorite awesome costume people or costume designers that have made your favorite films, and find them on Instagram and stalk them. And then message them directly on Instagram and they reply. So there's a guy called Julian, who's Pale Criminal. He's got 360 followers, and he's the costume designer for Bohemian Rhapsody and what's his name? The other one who's amazing. But anyway, and I messaged him, and he immediately, within a day, oh, I quite like your work. Yes, I'll keep you in mind. And then Ellen McCormack, who did Bridgerton's, she replied, and she's really busy. And it's actually, these people are humans, just contact them. And if you ever get their number, just ring, because nobody expects you to ring anymore. So just pester, go on Facebook, use social media, they're your way in. And literally that's what happened. And I got a Zoom call like this with the head of costume, so the costume designer who's just done Matrix 4, and then I got in, and it was amazing. And I've never done a film before, and I was the head milliner on this film. So keep doing lots of photo shoots, build your portfolio, have an Instagram, and just keep pestering.
That's great. Thank you, Fern. We've had a question come in from Anastasia, who's wondering, when you do contact them, how do you start a conversation and what do you ask?
Be really yourself. Don't be annoying and professional. They're actually real people. I say, hi, I'm Fern. I utterly adore your work. Remember, these people are thespians. They're theatre people, and they want to see personality and character, because it shows that you're a real person and you're not corporate and boring, and you're just unapologetically you. Obviously, you don't send them inappropriate pictures of your cat yet, but hi, I'm Fern. I adore your work. I would love to be considered as somebody for your next team, making this, this, and this. Do you have anything coming up, any projects? And remember, they won't reply maybe immediately. They say that you should do 7 points of contact before you get a sale. So you should make a spreadsheet of all of your people, all of their contact details, contact them 7 times until you get in each of them. And if it doesn't work, just keep going and bombard them, but nicely. And send them pictures of your work every few months and just keep dropping it. And you'll annoy them a little bit until they just say yes. That's the key. But just be yourself. Don't be corporate. Just be lovely and you, and just your work should speak for itself. And if they like what you do, they'll just hire you. And actually, when I was doing the Marvel one, after she saw my portfolio, when I saw her designs, it looked similar to what I had done in my portfolio. So costume designers will design with your skill set in mind as well. But, you know, I'm not going to lie, there's times where you think, oh my God, I have no idea how to make this. But you just Google it. It's amazing now we have the internet and you don't have to go to a library to find out how to do things. So you just Google it or ask someone.
Wonderful. Thank you ever so much, Fern. Aside from the Facebook and the Instagram, are there any other ways in which you maybe link up with other people in your industry? You know, what's the best way to network and raise your profile in the industry?
People that work in those industries they're very nocturnal, hardworking, nerdy people that don't really come out of their holes very often because they're so busy. It's not like you can go to maybe a forum or co-working meet greet. It doesn't really work like that. I would say if you want to get into cosplay, yes, that's a very different world, and you should absolutely go to cosplay events. If you want to go and do reenactment, that's an also massive industry, reenactment stuff. Go and join clubs where you dress up and you play sword fighting and other reenactment groups, and they do stands. So yes to those things. A lot of theatres don't do their own costume anymore. It's all traveling theatres and shows. So they don't have their own wardrobe department in theatres anymore, which is real shame. But it's just how it is, unless you want to do dressing. That's another thing. So sometimes they need dressers backstage to dress people. But apart from that, I would say definitely Facebook and Instagram are your best bet. Yeah, it's, for me, that's what worked. Yeah.
Sounds like you have the most fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you earn a living from what you do, and who pays you?
Yeah, so really only just film and TV pay. Big top tip, go online and look up BECTU, which is BECTU. BECTU. They are the union for film and TV. They cover the pay rate of every single person in every different job level and description, depending on the budget of the production, whether it's theatre, film, TV, and how big the budget is, reflects how much you should be getting paid. And that's how you should be valuing yourself in that job role. Nobody told me that. I've only just learned that. So BECTU union is very good for understanding your rights in the industry, understanding what you should be getting paid per hour. And yeah, when you're doing so money wise, when you're doing burlesque and drag, obviously they don't earn an awful lot. It depends on who you go for. But TV and film, you are respected, but you do need to stand your ground, and that's very difficult when you love what you do and you'll just give anything to just do it. But don't be an idiot as well. If there's an opportunity, do it. Don't be a slave, but because people will push you to get more always out of you than what they're, but don't be stupid about it, but just be wise about it. Have a look at back to union. I'm not going to lie, the older you get, the more respected you are in this industry. I'm 32, 33, and I'm only just being respected for what I'm doing because I must have, she's lasted that long, she must be all right. Which is terrible, but it's also good. It's very a dominated women's world, actually, especially in film and theatre for costume. It's amazing, and a lot of older women as well that are they've had their babies and they're still working while they're pregnant up until the month they're due, and then they're back, and then it's really nice that they're not looked at, oh, she's got a baby now, she's busy. Nah, she's thrown away. You're never thrown away. They'll always come back to you. And the same in the burlesque scene, actually, very obviously like women dominated, but they just want your skills. It's no corporate weird thing about, oh, that's it now. So the older you get, the more you're valued, which is wonderful. It's great. So you can only get better.
Great. Just going back to Bectu, which I'd never heard of before. What about as someone new to the industry? Do they show a range of how much you should be paid as someone new versus somebody who's experienced?
I think they do, yes. And there are forums, I think, as well, where you can ask and see. Also, if you join some of these costume guild groups on Facebook, people ask this all the time, and people will openly tell you what you should be earning. So don't ever, money is really always an English embarrassment type conversation where you don't really want to talk about money, but it's the elephant in the room, and actually the quicker you address it, the better. So like I'm doing a horror film at the moment, and even though I charged a really good amount for the Marvel film, it doesn't translate over to this film because the budget's lower. But always be open to conversation and let them know. Say, in this film or in this project, I was charging this, just so they know what you're worth. And then you can say, but let's have a talk and see what you've got budget wise and see what I can do. Always don't price yourself out of things, but just keep it an open conversation and address it very quickly, and talk to people in your industry, because people want to support the industry and want to support their jobs. So for me, if one milliner charges too less, that's a bad reflection on me. Always, there should be a standard, and people should expect and respect the standard. And I'm still learning this every day. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like, understanding your self-worth and your skill set is very difficult. So you're never ending learning on this.
Oh, that's brilliant advice, and that goes across so many different platforms as well. Yeah.
I mean, you're in music industry, you know, people will ask for everything for nothing, but and because you're so passionate, you know, in this industry, in the entertainment industry, or everyone's so passionate about what they do. You know, it's a lifestyle. It really is. It's not just a job, and you will do things for almost nothing, but you just have to be careful. I mean, you know, it's so difficult, but yeah, be aware, talk about it. It's really healthy.
What do you enjoy most about what you do?
People. I hate people and love them all at the same time. This is something that you need to learn how to do extraordinarily quickly. And at college and at A level, I didn't do it enough. Teamwork is annoying, but so important. And there will be people that you really don't get on with and don't like, but you need to learn how to communicate with other human beings really well to make sure you get the job done. Always ask too many questions, because you're asking for the right reasons. And people love you when you're asking questions. It doesn't show weakness. It shows that you care and that you're sincere. It's like, well, are you wearing a wig with that? Are you... I don't know, it's like the sort of awkward questions you might have with the drag queen if you're making a pair of trousers. It's like, are you tucking? Are you not tucking? Are you wearing a booty pad inside this? Are you not? Are you... But there's all of these really important questions, and I would most probably suggest getting a list together of standard questions that you ask for every job or every construction piece that you do. And then you won't need the list anymore, because you'll just have it in your head, because you're just gaining more experience about what you need to know to do your job right. Yeah, I hope I haven't gone off on a tangent, but yeah, people are awesome, but they're terrible, but they're brilliant, and people are wonderful to work with. So like, I've just met Zoe here, who's awesome. But do you know what I mean? And also the industry that you work in, especially theatre people, are just awesome people. Fashion, it's a very different vibe, and you'll feel it when you go out, and who your tribe is, who your tribe of humans are. But yeah, that's what I love mostly.
Yeah, totally relate to what you're saying there. It's the love-hate relationship for sure. What do you think are the most important traits for people to have if they are going to be successful in the creative industry sector?
Number one, I think I've sort of mentioned some of this. Number one, just love for what you do. When you're working an all-nighter at 6 o'clock in the morning and you still haven't quite finished, and you need to finish by 10 a.m. the next day, and you're still able to carry on because you love what you do, and there's no resentment at any point for what you do. I mean, obviously, I sort of hate what I do occasionally, like admin and having to be on my laptop and not actually working on the things I need to do. But yeah, I think number one, love for your craft. Number two, drive and passion. Number three, like confidence in yourself and what you do. And also telling white lies and blagging slightly is a very good skill to have when you have no idea really what you're doing, but you know that you can do it. But that's also something, but you have to be careful. Don't say that you can definitely do something when you actually can't, and then you fail. But always say yes to things and don't shy away from stuff. So yeah, it's a really hard slog, and it's a vocation. It's a lifestyle. It's not just a job. It's very satisfying, but it is hard.
Yeah, so I heard, perseverance, resilience, determination, grit, passion. Yeah, great list.
Absolutely. Yeah, perfect.
Do you have any survival tips and tricks that you could share?
Yes, go for a walk as much as you
Now.
can. Yeah, and move your back and your neck, because as soon as you hit 25 onwards, suddenly you start getting old and weird, and like your body starts hurting. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but actually the most debilitating thing is when you've got a really bad neck, because you're like this all the time sewing. And when you go for your walk sexy, like move your bum and get your back moving, because your back and your neck and your hands are your key tools. And I'm not really into meditation or yoga. My meditation is like getting dirty in what I'm doing. Like I don't function that way. Like my meditation is doing what I love. In fact, I struggle to do nothing. But that shows when you're sat doing nothing and you start getting an itch to do your job, means you're doing the right thing. When you can't keep still because you're just always ticking over, and that's not a problem, that's actually because you're in love with what you do. So definitely look after your hands, moisturize your hands, and get like a wrist brace as well. If you get one of those tubey grip bandage things, that's really good if you're doing repetitive strain stuff. Also eyesight, make sure you're looking after your eyes, and eating good and right, so that you're staying awake and alert and you're not like sewing through your finger. Like just like simple, really common sense things about looking after yourself, and maybe writing lists as well, so that you get out of things out of your head onto paper. But that works for me. Yeah, I think those things for me, that works.
Good self-care practice. Excellent. Is there anything else that you wished you'd have known, particularly at college age?
Yes, money stuff like finances and tax. Yeah, like they don't, what I would have loved actually is to have a spreadsheet given to me, where when I was just about to leave, like having a talk from like an accountant that deals in people who are creative, small accountancy firm, come in and give you a basic spreadsheet structure and what you need to do for tax and when you need to do your tax return, and like all of these really boring but really practical things that you need not to go to prison. Like it's all of these things that like just really simple things, or making sure that you're pricing for your materials and these practical things. Also learning to drive is really important, and I still haven't learned, and now I'm really regretting it, and I'm just starting at 32 to learn to drive. If you want to work in film or theatre and you want to be a runner or a dresser, and you're going or you're sourcing costumes or props, you need it. Even because a lot of like the film studios are near Watford and near Slough and like in Surrey and all these weird places. They're not, because I used to live in London, so you don't need a car and it's annoying, and it's expensive, but actually having your driver's license is very important, and I regret that too. So I think learn about tax and accountancy and how to organize yourself like that. Also getting a business account really quickly in a different card and keeping things in pots and organizing your money so you're not just spending your money into your own personal account. And learning to drive is very important too. And also, like, remember, if you don't want to go to university, there's loads of short courses and evening classes that just focus and specialize on something in particular. Like I want to know about soldering and metalwork more, or woodwork, you know, and they didn't cover that at uni. So don't just think uni is the be all and end all. There's lots of short courses and different things that you can do on the way as well. Even if you finished your university course, go for top-ups. Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, I can't thank you enough, Fern. I've come to the end of my question time, but I just want to say it's been an absolute privilege and an honour. Thank you so much for allowing me to ask you these questions, and I've really enjoyed meeting you. If anybody else has got any questions, feel free to just jump on in. Otherwise, I'm going to hand you back over to Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you so much, Fern. That's amazing. And yeah, please do pop some questions in the chat. But I just wanted to ask Fern, is it the new season of Game of Thrones? I don't watch Game of Thrones. I'll put my hands up now. I'm very impressed though, because I know a lot about it. But is it the new season? When can we expect to see your work, and what should we look out for?
Oh my gosh, yeah, so it's the House of Dragon, which is the prequel. So I think that is like 200 years before the whole of Game of Thrones that's just finished. So yeah, so that, and then Captain Marvel, the first one was terrible. Don't watch that one. I bought it really badly, but watch the second one, which is the Marvels, and that's out in November.
Okay.
And yeah, I did like these really weird headdresses, which were like gold weird stuff, but I can't like show you anything. I'm really
that's fine. It's embargoed. I get that. And are you kind of more, what do you prefer, film or theatre, working in, because didn't you do some work on Lion King as well? Was that quite early on in your career?
Actually, top tip, see who can get on this first. The wig workshop in Brighton. Look the wig workshop up, and there's this lovely lady called Sam, who's about my age, and she started as a hairdresser, and she now does wigs for all of the Lion Kings across the world in this small studio in Brighton, and she takes on people all the time. And I worked there for a bit, and she's absolutely lovely, and you don't need to know much, just basic sewing skills. So if you're into hair, wig work, she will teach you the basics of how to create a mold for a wig, just all of it. And the wig workshop, contact Sam.
Is she called, I was just going to say, is she called, Samantha Fletcher, is that?
Yes.
I found her LinkedIn, but I can't find a website for her.
Yeah, she's really lovely, and she's the kind of girl that went to college, didn't go and do a degree. She loved hair and makeup, and then she got taken on by the lady before her, and then she left the whole of her business to her. And they're very busy all the time, and they're in Brighton, and then in that really terrible building, which is like that industrial 1970s block, which is at the back of the train station, New England House. Yes. yeah. It's a terrible building, but
which actually inside is quite nice though, isn't it? It's one of
it's amazing.
There's a lot of creatives in that building.
That's it. So that's a good place to start. Also, you've got Glyndebourne Opera House, and they take on people as well, so do have a look. Theatre, I think you need to do a lot for free, really, but but I did for years. You do lots of free collaborative photo shoots with people. Use the people that you have now in your courses. If you've got hair and makeup person, if you've got a drag or burlesque dancer who's doing another course, go find them. And a photographer, team up with the people you've got now and create a portfolio and keep your Instagram fresh and make a portfolio. I don't even have a website, and my husband's a web designer and developer, and he still hasn't done it yet. But Instagram is your shop window. So just keep on top of it, and just just start following people as well that you like the look of but you don't know. Half the people I follow on Instagram I've never met before, but if you want to work with someone, just message them and DM them and just be like, I absolutely adore you, please can I do your makeup or your hair or your something for free and wear it for me, and they will as well. So that's a really good way.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Fern. We haven't had any more questions, so I think we're probably done. But thanks, Fern. That was so insightful.
Sorry, could I just butt in?
Yeah, I was just going to pass over to you, Jo.
Oh, right. Sorry. I didn't. Yeah, go on then.
That's okay. Go on. You go, Jo.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that Fern is coming into the college, into the Brighton Met College, to do a workshop on Thursday the 4th of November. So it's part of assessment week, so most of you should be off timetable. If you are, the publicity for that is all going on to Google Classroom by the end of this week. So if you'd like to find out more and participate in a creative workshop, please book onto that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm not doing anything at all that day. So if once I finish the workshop, if anyone wants just to chat or like tips and advice, if you're making something and you want some advice on how to do something sort of headdressy, or just come and chat to me. I'm very open and I love hearing about everybody's projects and stuff. So yeah, it's wonderful. And we're going to be doing head wrapping, which actually will be perfect for wig stuff, but it's just a good basic block for millinery and wig work and drag, and it's just, yeah, really good.
Brilliant. Thank you. Jo, have you got anything else that you wanted to share from Met perspective?
No, I think if I put the WP email address in for you guys to connect with, if you want any further information about any of the other events that we're organising, or you want any support with anything around progression into these creative industries, please, you should be familiar with widening participation. We've probably been into most of your classes now, but if not, just drop us a line and I can help connect you with all the information about the events that we've got coming up and the support that we offer.
Sorry, I'm just trying to unmute. Brilliant. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And yeah, do look out for Fern's workshop. She delivers great workshops. So, and we hope to see you on another one of these talks soon. Thank you. So much. And thank you very much, Zoe, for doing such a fantastic job at interviewing.
Yeah, Zoe was wonderful.
And thanks for your questions, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thanks all. Bye.